What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fit Women's Weekly podcast. Today, we're going to dive into a recent Mel Robbins podcast. For those of you guys that don't know who Mel Robbins is, she is an author, she is a lawyer, she was a CNN analyst, and now she has a very successful podcast where she has on people of every type of genre when it comes to health and wellness and science and finance, all kinds of different stuff. And recently she had on Dr. Vonda Wright to talk about longevity and aging specifically for women and the things that we should be doing to age gracefully and to be our strongest and healthiest self. And I don't think that they were expecting the type of criticism that they received for the podcast when it came out. Just a couple of comments that were left on a short little clip that they did for YouTube, for TikTok, for Instagram. This is just 2 comments, but this kind of sums things up from what I would say 75% of people were saying. Walk 45 minutes 4 times a week, weight training twice a week, work 40 hours, do the pickup and the drop-off commute, grocery shop and make healthy homemade meals, spend quality time with your kids, playing with them and talking to them, get 8 hours of sleep per night, make time for friends and family. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds exhausting, right? And then Toya says, do what works for your body and mind as long as you are moving, you're winning. I'm a strong, healthy woman in my 40s. I run up to 3 times per week, sometimes 10 miles, and I hit the gym 2 to 3 times, including weights and strength sessions. But I still do push-ups on my knees because of lower back issues. And guess what? It still works. Stop making people feel insecure. Let everyone move in a way that works for them. So those are just 2 comments. Literally, I said a couple of several dozens of comments of people saying kind of the same thing. So what's the issue going on? First, let's take a look at what the actual clip says with Dr. Vonda Wright.
Dr. Wright, you just mentioned that you have this exercise routine that you prescribe.
We need to be spending at least 3 hours a week walking.
Okay.
Broken up into 45-minute sessions, minimum of twice a week. We must learn to lift heavy. Heavy means what you can lift 4 to 6 times. Learn to lift your own body weight. Every woman should be able to do 11 push-ups.
On the knees, okay?
No.
Oh my God.
Twice a week when you're comfortable with walking, I want you to get your heart rate up really high. And then I work on balance every day when I brush my teeth.
That was the clip. And here's what Jennifer Kirsch Fitness had to say as well. She said, I would love if more trainers would add in their 2 cents to this. You know what? I'm going to do that. Let's go over the different elements that they talk about in that clip. The 4 things that women should be focusing on to be their fittest and healthiest self. Number 1 was 4 45-minute walk sessions per week. 2 was increase your cardio and start doing intervals that take your resting heart rate up, or to take your heart rate up super, super high. Not your resting heart rate, but to go from your resting heart rate to elevate that heart rate and then to bring it back down. And she talks about, Dr. Wright, that she's able to get her heart rate up to 180 plus beats for small sessions where she's working really hard for a couple of seconds and then she rests for about 3 minutes, and she does that for 4 times. So doing some really intense interval work. Number 3 was a minimum of 2 times per week of heavy lifting, where you're lifting up to just 4 to 6 reps. And if you can go far beyond that, then you're lifting too light. And then tip number 4 was learn to lift your own body weight. Start with 11 push-ups, at least on your toes. Doing push-ups on your knees shouldn't count. You should be focused on trying to do your push-ups on your toes to help build your core strength and overall being able to move your body in a healthy way. And then number 4, focus on balance work throughout the day. And she uses the example of standing on 1 foot while you brush your teeth. So is that sound advice, or is that something that's also going to deter a lot of people? So I think first we need to kind of focus on who's listening to this advice. Chances are the ladies that are listening to this advice don't already have some kind of regimen in place. They're kind of going, I know I need to be doing this. Here's the outline of everything that I need to do, but I feel so far behind, I can't do that. There's just too much, right? So it's like the women that know, like, I need to do something, but I don't know what I need to do. And then when you hear out all of these different things and they're listed out, they go, there's no way. Like that first commenter said, I'm trying to work 40 hours. I've got family at home. I'm trying to put good food on the table. I'm trying to also make sure that my relationships and my life are healthy and cultivate a community around me, and now I'm supposed to do all of this stuff. I can't do it as laid out, so I'm just not going to do it. It's too much. And that's where this kind of advice just rolls off and doesn't end up making the impact that we want it to, right? So here's what I am going to say. I actually do believe with all 5 of these tips, I think there are pretty good tips that we should all be focused on. We should be focused on moving our body more. We should be focused on strength training. We should be focused on cardio. However, to lay it out in such a black and white way where it's you need 4 sessions of 45-minute walks. You need 2 to 3 sessions of heavy intense strength training. You need to do these cardio sessions 4 times of 60 seconds on, 3 minutes off. I get it. It's exhausting, especially when you are just getting started. So what should people be doing instead, and how should this have been worded to be a little bit more clear? Now, because I will say this, that was also left in the clip, that take your time. You don't have to start here. It's okay to progress and start where you are, but these are solid goals to work towards. But if you don't have the plan of how to actually start working towards them, then it just seems like too much. It's too intimidating. So let's break each one down a little bit. And this is the advice that I give my clients. And I feel like this is the more sound advice that should have been given by Dr. Wright, because it's going out to millions of people that listen to this podcast. So number 1, 4 45-minute brisk walks per day. She said that you should be going to where it's a good movement. You're not just taking a stroll. It should be intentional. Well, you know what? If you're not taking 45-minute walks already right now per day, just get out and move. I don't care at what pace you're moving. If you're getting steps in, that's fantastic. Does it have to be 45 minutes? No. If you're not doing any walks right now throughout the day and your movement is like 2,000 to 3,000 steps per day, then my suggestion would be make a goal to go for a 10-minute walk per day. Go for 5 minutes just around, if you live on a cul-de-sac or on a block, just do a 5-minute walk on that block before you jump into the shower in the morning, or while you're drinking your cup of coffee, put it in a to-go mug and go for a quick walk. Then do that at lunchtime, and then do it when you get home in the afternoon. Then that's 15 minutes, and that's 15 minutes of a walk that you normally would not have done. And here's the thing, a lot of these habits are able to be built upon. So if you just start with a 10 to 15 minute walk, all of a sudden you start to realize like, man, I feel really good. I love having the sunshine on my skin. I love the way that my body feels a little bit energized. I love the clarity that it brings to me to kind of help reset so I can get back to focused work. Then maybe all of a sudden, instead of doing a 10 to 15 minute walk per day total, not all at one time, you start going, you know what, I'm going to add 3 minutes to my morning walk. So now you're walking, instead of a 5-minute walk, you're getting 8 to 10 minutes, right? And that slowly builds up over time. And then you're able to make it go a little seamlessly. Or maybe after dinner, you start to like crave that movement. I know that last night, for example, now that the weather is so nice outside, when we finished dinner, Dan looked at me and said, hey, let's go for a quick walk real fast before we settle down for the night. And so maybe that's going to be something that you start implementing, where normally you would eat dinner and then just sit on the couch and watch some Netflix. You go, you know what, my body's kind of craving that movement. So don't think that you need to start off with 4 45-minute sessions per week. Instead, I wouldn't even look at it as like 4 per week. I would look at it as a little bit every single day. You need that step count. You need to get your body moving. Do you need 10,000 steps per day? No. Science shows that for health and longevity, 7,000 is about that sweet spot. So if you're getting 3,000 steps per day right now, and I do recommend having some kind of counter or like tracking it on your watch or on your phone, then maybe get out and make it a goal to get 4,000 steps this week. And then next week do 5,000, but set up some sort of plan for yourself that takes that intimidation factor and also makes it not so black and white, so fail or pass. So that would be my tip for that. Don't go for 45 minutes if you're not used to that. It's hard to cut out an hour for something new, right? Start small. Let's see. The second tip was increase your cardio and do intense intervals. Intervals are very hard. Taking your heart rate up to max level, which would be around 180, actually that's even beyond your maximum heart rate. So maximum heart rate is 220 minus your age. So for me, At 41 years old, 179 beats would be taking my heart rate to the max level. So for ladies that are listening to her, and I know Vonda Wright seemed a little bit older than me, going up to 180, that is a very, very, very intense heart rate. So instead of thinking so much of going like, I've got to go 100%, if you're not doing cardio right now, start with steady state cardio where you're still elevating, you're still sweating, you're still working hard, your breathing's hard, your heart rate is up mostly around that like 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate, and you're able to carry on a conversation still, and you can maintain that for about 30 minutes. 30 to 45 minutes at a time. And for that, yeah, you only need to do that about 2 to 3 times a week. But I recently had put out a post saying that weights are for longevity and for independence, and cardio is for your heart health and longevity as well. And so not one needs to be prioritized over the other. I think that for a long time, people were trying to say, I'm a cardio person or I'm a strength person. You need to be both. And instead of focusing so much on like one type of cardio, when you're just getting started, focus on the one that makes sense to you. If trying to go full out at 100% for 60 seconds is too hard, too much, too soon, and it can be a lot, not only on how you feel cardiovascularly, but it can be a lot on your joints as well. So that's why I say start at first with kind of more simple, steady state cardio, going for a jog or jogging/walking for about 20 to 30 minutes at a time. My mom right now is loving the Stairmaster, and I think that's a great option. Doing the elliptical, bike riding, doing something that can bring your heart rate up and make you feel like you're getting a good sweat, but not going to that extreme 180. As you get more into your fitness journey, then that might make a little bit more sense, and you might crave that like higher intensity. Me personally, I love high intensity training. But when you're first getting started, let's just tailor it in a little bit. Do what you can. 2 to 3 times per week. Start where you're at. Even again, like with our walking, start with a 10-minute cardio session and then slowly build up. And then her tip number 3, which is actually my least favorite tip out of all of this, which was lift heavy at least 2 times per week where you are lifting 4 to 6 reps. I've actually done an episode specifically on this. Now here's the thing. My mom got this exact same lifting advice from her doctor, and I said, Mom, please do not do this. I love that doctors are out there promoting fitness and health. However, just because they are a doctor does not mean that they are fully educated in prescribing people how to exercise. Just like I'm not going to try to diagnose your health concerns, they don't need to be talking about things that they're not fully educated in as well. And exercise isn't taught in med school. That might be something that they're not completely competent in, and that's where I'm going with this. I think that lifting heavy is great. Do I think that someone that is just getting started needs to be lifting so heavy that they can only do 4 to 6 reps? Absolutely not. That is a recipe for really serious injuries. If you have never picked up a weight before and you go to the gym and you don't really know what you're doing, but you're like, oh my gosh, I heard on Mel Robbins, who I look to as an expert, that I should be squatting so heavy that I can only do 4 to 6 reps. Well, if your form is not in check already to begin with, then you're going to do that, and you're probably going to either hurt your legs or even worse, do something really bad to your back. Even people that have been lifting for a very long time, the heavier you get, the more in tune with your body you need to be to make sure that you're activating the right muscles, your form is protected, and you're making sure that your core is staying nice and tight and is strong enough to be able to hold loads like that. So I do think that going through periods where you're doing stuff for 4 to 6 reps, that's called our strength program, is important, but there's other types of regimens. I would think that getting started with weightlifting, building confidence, you're going to want to actually start with lighter weights to where you're able to do more like the 10 to 15 rep range. You're going to build confidence with this. You're going to get your form mastered. And then after doing that for about 4 to 8 weeks, then you can start increasing your weights enough where your rep range starts to come down. And then you're going to go more into the hypertrophy phase, more into the phase of like 8 to 12 reps. And then as you become a little bit more confident with that, I would say after about a year of strength training, especially if you are doing this on your own, then you can start lifting so heavy you're only getting to this 4 to 6 rep range. But I am on board with the fact that you should be strength training at least 2 times per week. Obviously, I'm going to say that because I run a fitness studio and I'm doing classes every single day and I'm encouraging women to get up and get moving. But don't make it so black and white where it's 2 days a week and you're lifting 6 reps every single time that you're working out. Play around a little bit with it, but do what works best for you. And even just doing a 10-minute strength training workout, especially when you're just getting started, is going to be beneficial. Now, I also agree with this next part, which is learn to lift your own body weight. If you can't do a solid push-up or a body weight squat, especially things like body weight squats, or a proper plank, then you have no business adding external weight that you're doing those exercises. So unless you're able to do a proper squat with just your body weight, where you're able to go all the way down and all the way up, keeping your torso tall, you're not collapsing, your knees aren't bending forward, then you have no right to put an external load where you're holding dumbbells, especially a barbell, because that's going to put potential damage onto your lower back. And then if you're not able to hold a proper plank, you have no business doing certain things like getting a push-up yet, right? Like, let's master the basics first. And then as you get stronger at those, then you can add on to it. And it makes it more of a journey because you're like, okay, I got this move. Now I can start working on this move, versus trying to get just to step 3 and you can't do it. And then you feel weak and out of shape and you're like, ugh, can't do this, so I just won't. And I feel like that's kind of the issue going on with a lot of these tips, is the women say, I can't do this, so I just won't. Especially when it says you should be able to do 11 push-ups. Well, yes, I do believe that if you are healthy and you have no issues going on with your body, that most women should be able to do at least 10 push-ups on their toes. Working towards that. Start with an incline. Well, first, start by building your core strength like we just talked about. Then start doing push-ups on an incline, like my desk, for example, and then slowly work your way down. But just like that quote that I said at the beginning, if you have issues like a bad back, right? And so doing a plank or doing push-ups on your toes isn't going to happen, then it's okay to modify. I am fine if you never get away from doing an incline push-up and that's just what you stick to for the rest of your life, and that's challenging you, then that is better than not doing them at all. So don't be afraid to meet an exercise at where you are and then see where you can progress. And if progression takes a little bit longer, that doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you a failure because you can't do something that this person says you should be doing. Meet exercise where you are at and just know that you are on your own journey. So I wish those were the issues that had been talked about a little bit more in that podcast, but then I wouldn't have anything to talk about if they hit it all perfectly, right? And then the last tip was tip number 5, and that is work on balance. And yes, 100%. Balance, mobility, and flexibility are the 3 key components that as we get older are often neglected. And that's why we feel so tight, especially in our lifestyle where we're sitting down too much, right? So we're going to get tight hip flexors. So we're going to get tight shoulders. Our backs are going to start getting round from sitting down so much. So we should be focusing on those 3 components. And I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't talk about mobility and flexibility a little bit more. And those are 2 different things. Mobility is the ability to move your joints through a range of motion. So like the ability to rotate your shoulders or open up your hips, that sort of thing. Whereas flexibility is the ability of your muscles to move through a certain amount of mobility, I guess you could say. The ability to touch your toes, right? And all of those things are very important to avoiding injury as we get older. And then the same thing with balance work. Balance is helping our brains talk to our muscles, which is going to help us be able to make sure that we don't break a hip because we fall, right, as we get older, or go upstairs and lose our balance. And you can practice those little things easily throughout the day. You don't have to add them into a training regiment or add extra time to your day. You can spend 5 minutes before you go to bed. That's what we do in our house. Stretching, just doing some very basic stretching like butterfly or straddle stretch or forward bend, downward dog. If there's a particular area in your body that feels tight, focus a little bit more on that at nighttime for just Even stretching, holding it for 30 to 60 seconds will be plenty, doing that every single day. If you're trying to increase your flexibility, however, that does take a little bit more focused work. And for that, I would suggest, hey, join a yoga place that's going to help you stay a little bit more accountable towards that. But as far as balance is concerned, yeah, while you're brushing your teeth, try to do it with one foot. Actually, that works even better because you're moving your hand with one and then you're trying to maintain balance on your other, and then alternate each night between what foot, because you'll find that one side of your body is a little bit more balanced than the other. For me personally, my left foot is more balanced than my right foot, and that's because I've had a knee injury on my right, but I'm always working on trying to build that knee strength and to regain that balance control on that side. So those are the ways that I would go about creating a healthy lifestyle. At the core of it, all of these are great, but again, it's not so black and white. It's not so much of you need to be doing XYZ. It's you need to come at these where you're at, and you can always build up. But always remember that doing something that's a little bit more than what you're doing now is better. That is what I am always stressing. If you don't have 60 minutes to work out for 30 minutes. If you don't have 30 minutes to work out for 10 minutes. And in fact, here's a great little example of, if you only have 10 minutes, here's what you do. You get your workout clothes on, you set a timer for 10 minutes. Well, I would do like 50 jumping jacks just to help warm the body up, which jumping jacks are actually a pretty good warm-up exercise. And then in 10 minutes, I would do as many rounds as possible of 10 push-ups. Again, meeting me where you are. So if that means incline push-ups or on your knees, that's fine. Work up to it. 10 squats, 10 single leg deadlifts or balanced toe touches, meaning you are going to stand on one foot with your opposite arm to the sky and then reach over and try to touch your foot without letting your other foot drop down. So 10 on those sides. And then I would do 10 sit-ups. And I know that sit-up sounds such a 80s move, but done appropriately, it actually is a pretty good ab exercise. Is it a great core exercise? No. But again, if you only have 10 minutes, we're trying to make as big of an impact as we can. So I want it to be something that you can just memorize and go off of. So 10 minutes, 10 push-ups, 10 squats, 10 balanced toe touches, and 10 sit-ups. Or if you have an ab wheel's even better. So there you go, you guys. I would love to hear your thoughts on the podcast with Mel Robbins. If you listen to it, if you have any questions, please never hesitate to reach out. You can ask down in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, drop into my DMs, Kindal Boyle Fitness. I'm on Instagram, and just make sure that you're subscribed because every week I put out brand new episodes and I would hate for you to miss out. And it really does help me. It means the world to me when you take the time just to hit that little subscribe button. And even better yet, if you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment and let me know that you enjoyed this episode. All right, guys, thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.